Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most haunting questions that has plagued humanity for centuries. Is life worth living? I recently came across an absolutely incredible video that tackles this existential crisis head-on. And honestly, it completely shifted my perspective on what it means to find purpose in our modern world. This isn't just another philosophical rant. This is a blueprint for transforming how you approach your entire existence. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's explore some ideas that might just change how you see your life. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. Let's start with the brutal reality check that opens this philosophical journey. Picture this. You're born into existence without your consent, and initially, life feels like one massive celebration. Everything seems magical. Everything seems possible. You're convinced the world is your playground. But then something sinister happens. Somewhere along the line, you develop self-awareness. And with it comes a crushing realization. You exist. And not only do you exist, but you're trapped in what feels like a kamikaze plane with no flight manual, no destination, and no way to safely land. You suddenly realize you're fighting in a war that's been raging for so long that nobody even remembers why it started. You didn't sign up for this battle, you're not getting paid enough for the suffering, and oh, by the way, it's definitely going to kill you in the end. Welcome to the human condition, folks. Now here's where things get really interesting and frankly, really depressing. You'd think that living in the 21st century would solve these existential problems, right? We have technology our ancestors couldn't even dream of. We have medical advances that would seem like magic to people just 100 years ago. We have entertainment, comfort, food, shelter, basically everything that should make life worth living. And yet, here we are, living at the absolute peak of human civilization, and our biggest question is still whether life is worth living at all. Think about that for a second. Your ancestors were literally fighting wars with spears and stones, worried about where their next meal would come from. And here you are, practically drowning in material abundance, using your tears as lubrication for your digital entertainment. We oscillate constantly between we're so back and it's so over. One moment, we feel invincible. The next, we're questioning the entire point of existence. We start thinking about how strong our ancestors must have been compared to how weak we feel. And with each thought, we code our anguish in another layer of self-loathing. But what if I told you that this very comfort might be the root of our problem? Here's the game-changing insight that completely reframes everything. What if the reason you're so miserable isn't despite your comfort, but because of it? Think about it. You have no real war to fight, no genuine challenges to overcome, no adventures to embark on, no surprises to navigate, no tests to pass, no real opportunities to prove yourself. Just that soul-crushing job and all the digital distractions you use to forget about it. Humans aren't built for comfort and sunny days. We come from the mud, and we turn to dust without the rain. We're literally designed for struggle, for overcoming obstacles, for pushing against resistance. But your life has become Groundhog Day. How many times have you taken a minor variation of yesterday and just called it today? This is why you clicked on videos like this. This is why you're searching for meaning at 2 a.m. on YouTube. Your spirit is suffocating under the weight of a life that's too easy, too predictable, too safe. You're a warrior with no battle to fight, and it's driving you insane. But here's where the real breakthrough happens, and this is going to blow your mind. When you look closely at everything that makes you question whether life is worth living, you'll notice they all have one thing in common. They're all constraints. Everything that makes you miserable is something that limits you, something that reduces your options, something that leaves you with less wiggle room. Now, here's the crucial insight. If we decide that life isn't worth living and choose to end it, we're essentially solving the problem of constraints by adding a constraint so decisive, so final, that it makes all the others completely irrelevant. It's the existential equivalent of chopping off your arm to distract yourself from headache. In other words, we're fighting fire with fire, and in doing so, we're actually siding with the enemy and becoming traitors to ourselves. Because here's what you need to understand. You are not the constraints. You are that which overcomes them. That's literally what life is, the force that pushes against limitations. Albert Camus said something brilliant. The literal meaning of life is whatever you're doing that prevents you from living yourself. Think about that. Your life's meaning isn't some grand, cosmic purpose handed down from above. It's literally the sum total of everything you do to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep overcoming. This brings us to the most important realization of all, and I want you to really let this sink in. It's not your job to figure out whether life is worth living. It's your job to make it worth living. Let me say that again because it's so important. You don't need to discover life's meaning. You need to create it. Think about what keeps you going. Maybe you stay alive for your family's sake, to spare them the pain of your absence. Okay, so ask yourself, how else could you spare them pain? What could you do? Who could you become, such that your existence actually increases the quality of their lives? Maybe you stay alive because you enjoy certain things, good food, great music, beautiful sunsets, meaningful conversations. What could you do? Who could you become, such that your life contains more of these things? I'm asking these questions to make a crucial point. Your set of values, your preferences, even the things you absolutely can't stand, that's your personal mission. Your job is to bring more of what you value into existence. That is your war, and the constraints that stand in your way are your enemy. When two armies face off in battle, they don't spend the whole time sitting around wondering whether they're going to win. That's not their job. Their job is to win. Period. So yes, you're a kamikaze pilot. Yes, you were drafted into this existence without your consent. Yes, your assignment will ultimately kill you. Yes, you don't even know what the war is really about. In fact, you know almost nothing about the bigger picture. But you know that you're here. This is it. This is the real deal. So what are you going to do? Are you going to spend your entire time on the battlefield wondering whether the war is worth fighting? Are you going to distract your fellow soldiers with poisonous rhetoric of doubt that only serves to weaken everyone's spirits? Or are you going to make the war worth fighting? Stop torturing yourself by questioning the ultimate cause. Stop asking yourself why there is something rather than nothing, why there is war rather than peace. Because what is ultimate peace anyway, if not total oblivion? And what are you, if not a sacred middle finger to nothingness itself? Even if your self-torture was somehow fruitful, even if you could return from decades of neurotic obsession having discovered the ultimate meaning of life, the cosmic reason for existence, I'd tell you to forget about it. Because it's not the great cause that justifies its effect. It's the great effect that justifies its cause. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and brilliant psychologist, said something profound. Ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather must recognize that it is he who is asked. Similarly, you shouldn't ask whether life is worth living. You must recognize that you're the one being asked this question, and your body is the pen with which you write your answer. Not with words, those great hypnotists and masters of misdirection, those deceptive delusions of reality, but with your body, with your actions, with how you choose to live each day. You have the privilege of writing your own answer into the fabric of reality. So write boldly, write courageously, take the good with the bad, and still ask for more. Life is war, but to reach the end of your life and say again, that is victory. You have the power to create meaning through your choices, your struggles, and your refusal to surrender to meaninglessness. If this perspective resonates with you, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps spread these important conversations. Subscribe for more deep dives into philosophy and personal growth, and share this with anyone who might be wrestling with similar questions about purpose and meaning. Remember, you're not here to figure out if life is worth living. You're here to make it worth living. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.